If you tell your employees that people who want more money should work somewhere else, don't be surprised when they quit. About 4 years ago I worked for a company that provided behavior services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We did individual counseling, parent trainings, data analysis, etc. Think highly specialized mental care and support in home and community settings. Anyway, after 2 years of working there and getting another certification, I asked my boss for a raise. I was newly divorced and raising 3 kids, so I really needed the money. I had been working 10+ hours a week of overtime to stay afloat. My boss also knew about my situation. My evaluations were great and I had been told I would be moved up to supervisor soon, so my boss had to have known this conversation was coming. This man looked me dead in my eyes and said that he knew I wanted to make more money and my reviews were great, but he wanted to make sure I was loyal to the company mission. He told me he can tell when people are just looking to make more money, and we tell those people to go work somewhere else. He wanted to make sure that the new supervisor would put the company mission and families they support first. He told me that he couldn't offer me a raise at that time, but he would get back to me. No date was set for a follow-up meeting or anything. I started applying for new jobs that day. Within 2 weeks I had found a new position making double the salary for only 40 hours of work a week. As it turns out, I was being severely underpaid. Shocker, I know. The day I handed in my notice, my boss and the owner were in a meeting about my new position within the organization. Of course, no one said anything to me about it beforehand. They sent me an offer, which I politely declined because it sucked. Then they tried to hire me on as a contractor at a rate that was at least 25% lower than every other contractor rate in the city for my position, so I turned that down too. My boss and the owner were both shocked that I rejected their offers, especially since they were willing to offer me so many perks. They were giving me the opportunity to become a leader in a great company, and believed I was a great clinician who would do so many great things within their organization, etc. I reminded my boss that he is the one who told me to go work somewhere else, and then I stopped responding to their messages.
Now to the comments. That old "we're family at this company" line basically. Yeah, you make family work for free. Gross. Glad you got out. Hope your new job advertises there when they hire more people.
Don't forget to mention about loyal to the company, which translates as let us treat you badly and you must suck it up.
Yeah. I stopped showing loyalty to a company the day I realized they would show zero loyalty to me. In other words, very early in my working life. Great company, you say? I have been massively underpaid since day one here. That does not a great company make. Ugh.
OP replied. That's how they got me. They hire recent grads who don't know any better and don't understand the market, then underpay them. My workload was insane. I wish I would have known better. I looked at their job posts and they are still underpaying people.
It's why I'm always free with my salary details to anyone that asks. I worked as a contractor to one company that was screwing their people hard. Everything from $15 an hour to $25 for the exact same job. They offered me full-time after the contract ended. I asked to negotiate, they said sure, and after I put together a reasonable request. We'll hold. Oh whoops, found a job paying a lot more. Peace. I worked for a company for 3 years. I got a decent raise each year and was generally happy. The owner sold out to a larger company and I did not get a raise for 2 years. Then they gave me a measly 25 cents an hour. I told them $1 an hour would be a raise. The 25 cents didn't even keep up with the cost of living. They came back with that I was getting paid what the position was worth and I was topped out. I started looking for a different job and found a job with a competitor for almost double the pay doing similar work. When I turned in my notice, they were shocked I was leaving after everything they had done for me. I asked them to clarify that point and they told me they had given me a job and paid me. I reminded them that I did a job for them that created profits for the company, so it seems to me it was mutually beneficial, but the pay sucked. Then they went on and told me I would lose my profit sharing, something like $3,500. I let them know with the increase in pay I would have that covered in a couple months. The best part is they struggled to replace me. I had a couple friends that worked there and they told me all the time how much they missed me, and the guys they hired as replacements were worthless.
Profit sharing and other benefits like conditional stock grants are what we refer to as golden handcuffs. They cost the company very little, and help make the employees stick longer. Personally, when I'm negotiating, I make it clear that those kinds of incentives have little value for me, and demand a higher base salary instead.
Or like bonuses. I don't give a shit about your 5% bonus, get rid of it and give me 2.5% higher salary. I love how companies try to act like everyone's disposable until you hand in your notice, then they scramble to give the measly raises and praise. The previous restaurant I used to break my back managing it refused to get me any type of raise until I threatened to quit, and a small one at that. The whole spiel of putting the company first is total BS.
A similar situation was the final motivation for me to find a better job than the last fast food place where I worked. As a shift manager, I was paid 25 cents higher per hour than a brand new line employee. What's worse, they required that if any other manager worked overlap with me, I would be bumped down to that lower pay because I wasn't, to directly quote our owner, functioning as a manager during those times. In the nearly 3 years I was in that position, I never got any of the bonuses or benefits that he promised were coming soon. I now make more in manufacturing quality control, still paid hourly, than my store manager made on salary. The poor guy was also promised bonuses and benefits that never came.
Good for you. Underpaying staff is selfish, greedy, disrespectful, and very telling of how much you value your people.
OP replied. They say things like you don't work in this field for the pay, you work here because you care about people, etc. They also preach company loyalty. Like loyalty is going to pay my bills.
People don't go into social work for the money, but there's a difference between I'm not trying to earn hundreds of thousands per year, and I want to make ends meet and earn my market value. I got stuck in this situation once. Was told the same thing. It was at the start of the company year, so I still had all of my annual leave. Within a week, I applied for and got accepted into an apprenticeship with a big company, who paid me more to train than my current company paid me in a fairly high position. After 5 years, I took my annual leave as my 4 weeks notice and left a few days later. They had to hire 2 new employees to do my job when I left, and my manager had to step down to attempt to do my job, while they found some people to do it. My boss undervalued me because they didn't understand my role very well, as it was out of their realm. So, when the new guys weren't instructed properly on how to do the job didn't get done. People who depended on my role in that department got stressed and angry, and others started to leave. The department/managers lost a load of respect for being mismanaged, and it was slowly dissolved/merged into another department later down the line. He wanted to make sure I was loyal to the company mission. Loyalty to a company is a joke, as you probably know. The minute you are no longer useful to them, they'll kick you to the curb. My boss and the owner were both shocked that I rejected their offers, especially since they were willing to offer me so many perks. They were giving me the opportunity to become a leader in a great company, and believed I was a great clinician who would do so many great things within their organization. I was told something similar when I handed in my resignation at my previous job. They weren't able to offer me any more money. I wouldn't have taken it anyway, but they said I had the opportunity to become a leader in that company. By that point I had worked for them for nearly 3 years. They were over an hour away from where I lived. Although COVID meant we had been working from home for several months at that point, in the last 6 months, my job role had completely changed. without a raise, and I was on my third manager in as many months. In the year since I've left, nothing I've heard from my former colleagues has given me cause to regret my leaving. This just happened to me lol. Have been leading my team unofficially for about 6 months, so I asked for a raise to accommodate that, laid out everything I have been doing that is out of scope for my PD, and was promptly told that we don't need someone in that position. So, I stopped doing all of it, and had another meeting with my bosses where I said I have found a new job, they've offered me equal salary to what I have here, but I need a change. If you can offer me that new position, I'll stay, if not, I'm going to have to leave. They said if you need to leave, then leave. So, I handed in my notice the next day, and asked for 2 weeks off because I am dangerously close to burning out / have already burned out. Said I would be willing to extend my notice period to account for this. Emailed to boss, boss's boss, and HR. Boss calls me next day and says HR have told me to tell you to take stress leave starting immediately and for me to get a doctor to sign off on if I'm okay to come back to work. Went to the doctor, was told I am not okay to go back to work, and handed boss my certificate from said doctor. I am now using up my sick leave. I have roughly 200 hours, that I would have had to otherwise forfeit. Sick leave doesn't get paid out at the end of your employment here, and I get my annual leave paid out to me, currently at around 100 hours. It's looking like I'm not going to be able to go back at all, meaning boss has lost his best employee, they're paying me for not being there, I'm getting paid my annual leave, and I get to start a new job.